So, Bodhi Day. This is the day that many Buddhists around the world commemorate the Buddha's enlightenment. Which sounds great, but what does it mean? When I talk on rare occasion to UU groups, I don't ever know how much everybody knows about Buddhism. Some UU congregations know lots, some don't. So I will start from the beginning, more or less. The Buddha had, he wasn't the Buddha then. When he was young, he was a prince. And his father, the king, tried to keep him from all unpleasantness. He created for him a life where he didn't see sickness or death or anything like that. And he stayed within the royal compound. He wasn't really allowed to go out. But of course, as a young man, I think he was in his 30s at the time, probably around 30, he just decided, I would like to see the world. And so he went out. He snuck out. And he encountered people who were sick. And he encountered people who were grieving. And he encountered a corpse. And he discovered that there was suffering in the world. And he didn't like it. It troubled him greatly. And he didn't see why it should have to be. And he fretted about it for a while, and then he left his family and he went out to find out why people have to suffer. And he wandered around the countryside. This was northern India, Nepal, a lot of the area of Nepal. And he went to the great teachers of the time and said, I want to find out why people suffer and what can be done about it. And they taught him their stuff. And after he proved a very good student, of course, he was going to be the Buddha. And after they had taught him their stuff, they said, you're a great student. Why don't you take over my flock? And he said, no, because you haven't answered my question. I don't know why suffering happens, and I don't know what to do about it yet. You haven't been able to teach me that. So he went on to the next and the next and the next teacher, same thing. And the story has it that one day he sat down under a tree and he said, I will not rise from this seat until I have solved this problem. So he had a huge background. He had a vast spiritual treasury to draw on, but he hadn't gotten it yet. And he sat down in the daytime, and he sat all night. And the legends have it that the powers of confusion and delusion attacked him that night because they knew he was getting close to understanding, and they didn't want that because it would destroy their power. But he didn't get scared. They didn't succeed in scaring him. And as he looked up from his meditation and saw the morning star, it hit him. He got it. So what was it? What is this enlightenment stuff people talk about? Not easy to define, though it's easier to define than to achieve. What he realized was that people make suffering, that we create it moment to moment, day to day. And we create it because we get into a fight with reality. we say, I don't like reality. Reality should be different. And I'm going to be mad until reality changes to my specifications. I want to be taller. I want to be prettier. I want to be richer. I don't want to be clumsy anymore. I don't want my dear friend to have died. I don't want to die. I'm mad about all this. And I'm also terrified by all this. So, I don't like being terrified. I will come up with some exciting tap dances to distract myself from being terrified. And the tap dances are ways in which I'll kind of pretend that reality isn't the way it is. Unfortunately, reality always wins, every single time. And so when we do our tap dances and we run around in circles trying to pretend that reality isn't what it is, we eventually run into reality and smack our heads against that wall, and it hurts. And that is suffering. Suffering is different from pain. If my dear friend dies, I will have pain. I will be sad. That is unavoidable. That was the Buddha's first noble truth. Stuff hurts. And it doesn't matter how you live your life. It doesn't matter how clever you are. It doesn't matter how well you do it and how right you are. Life hurts. Pain is unavoidable. Suffering happens when we try to avoid pain. When we try to hang on to pleasure and good feelings, and when we try to run away from painful ones, we create the mess known as suffering. So what makes suffering go away is radical acceptance. The simple ability to say, this is what's real. It doesn't matter if I like it or dislike it. It doesn't matter if I enjoy it or I don't enjoy it. This is what's real. And within that context of reality, what do I wish to do next? Another piece of that awareness, of the enlightenment that he came to, was that everybody goes through this. Everybody goes through exactly this. And that we think that we're terribly unique and individual and isolated. We tend to feel really alone in the world. But that we are all the same. Indeed, the way some people put it is that there is one big mind, and it looks out through all of our eyes. But since my eyes are over here, and you seem to be over there, it seems as though we're separate. So we feel isolated. His insight is sometimes described in an analogy. It's like there's the ocean on a moderately windy day, and the ocean is covered with waves with white caps. And each of those white caps is like a person. The wave comes up, the white cap forms, and it goes back down. And while the white cap is formed, it says, oh, look at me. I'm a white cap. I'm all by myself. There are other white caps out there. but we're not connected in any way. They're so far away, and I'm so unique. And then it goes back into the sea, but it doesn't, when it's up there in the white cap, it doesn't notice the sea. It doesn't notice that it's just this little blip on top of a huge ocean. It just experiences its blipness. And it sees the other blips. It says, boy, such a shame. It would be really great if something connected us, And then it goes back down into the connection and forgets. That white cap never comes up again, but other white caps do. They're all basically similar. So the Buddha realized that isolation is not possible, even if we would like it, because we're all the ocean. And while the white cap is fretting about whether it has enough bubbles or not, it's missing its oceanness. So he said, after he became enlightened, well, when he first realized all this, he said, oh boy, this is too basic, this is too fundamental, I can't teach this to anybody, I can't put it into words. But because when you realize you are the ocean and so is everybody else, and they're all suffering because they don't know it, compassion floods. When you're not different from the person who is suffering, when you are part of the person who is suffering, it matters to you that that suffering is there. And it is human nature to want to help. We forget human nature at times. But if you ever look at a playground full of kids and one kid falls down and skins her knee, usually a bunch of kids will go, oh, they may not know what to do with the skinned knee, but they want to help, they want to comfort. It takes practice to not care. We have to work at not caring. So he figured he'd better figure out a way to teach this, which he did. The main thing that he said was, you have to figure out how your mind works. Your mind is creating all of this suffering. Your mind has the capacity to see and feel and experience what is true, which is liberation. But you are so used to your tap dance that you don't know how to stop. So you need to get to know your mind really well. And to do that, most people need to stop and be quiet for a while. Because when you're tap dancing, out of sheer habit, you don't notice the steps. You're just doing it. So stop tap dancing for a moment and just breathe. And notice that breath. Notice what the breath actually feels like in your body. Not your picture of your breath, not your ideas about your breath, not your breathing exercises that teach you how to breathe correctly. What is your body like as you breathe? And what does your mind do to say, don't pay attention to the breathing, that's irrelevant. Think about this important thing instead. What does your mind do when you give it space just to be there? And apparently, throughout history, people have been very careful not to create that space to just be there. I think America has perfected how to not have any space to just be there. And I always think America is the place that invented the rocking chair so that we can do something when we're sitting down. And it invented chewing gum so we can do something with our jaw all the time. So it's against, I was going to say it's against our nature, which is absolutely not true. It is against our habit to pause and just breathe and experience whatever is happening without trying to cultivate peace and loving kindness or trying to banish our anger and our hate. Nah. What is it actually like now? So that when you notice yourself trying to create peace and loving kindness or banish your anger or whatever, you can say, oh yeah, I'm doing that now. I could stop. I could just pause that activity. That's part of the tap dance. What would it be like not to tap dance anymore? To just breathe for a moment. And at least according to the story, and I suspect the story is true, as the Shambhala writer Pema Chodron says, there's no such thing as a true story. But the story goes that he actually realized all of that, all the way to his heart and to his bone marrow. That he dropped the delusion. He dropped the tap dance completely. And that dropping is still echoing 2,600 years later. And Bodhi Day is our celebration and our bow to him for having simply come in contact with reality and then giving us a method for how to do it. So, there is, I understand, a talkback session after, and if you have questions or objections or whatever, I'll be here.